My name is Susan J. McNutt. I am 31, and I learned the hard way that sometimes the person you are planning to marry will tell you exactly who they are long before the wedding ever happens. Mason Caldwell was 29. We had been together for 3 years, engaged for 8 months, and our wedding was supposed to be in 4 months. The key word was supposed. Last month, we were having drinks on our balcony when Mason got this weird look on his face. You know the one. Like they are about to confess something, but they are trying to make it sound cute or quirky. Babe, I have to tell you something, he said, doing that thing where he bites his lip. Promise you won't be mad. I hate when people say that. It is basically announcing they did something worth getting mad about. What is it? He laughed, actually laughed, like this was going to be adorable. So, remember last month when that woman kept showing up at your gym? The one who was always asking you for help with equipment. Yeah, I said, already feeling my stomach tighten. That was Rochelle. I hired her. I put my drink down. You hired her for what? Mason looked relieved that I had not exploded yet. She is a private investigator. Well, sort of. She does loyalty tests. I paid her to see if you would cheat on me. I stared at him for probably 10 seconds, just processing. You paid someone to try to seduce me. It wasn't like that, he said quickly, reaching for my hand. I just needed to know before the wedding. My friend Chloe did it with her fiancé and found out he was on dating apps. I needed peace of mind, and you passed. Obviously, you barely talked to her. I am so relieved, babe. Now I know I can trust you completely. The irony of that statement would hit different later. I took a sip, slow. Interesting. He blinked. You're not mad. I'm processing. And I was, but not the way he thought. Mason launched into this whole speech about how his ex-girlfriend cheated, how his dad cheated on his mom, how he just needed to be sure, how it was actually a compliment because now he knew I was one of the good ones. I nodded, smiled, and changed the subject to wedding planning, like my heart wasn't quietly picking up pieces of itself off the floor. That night, while he slept, I found Rochelle's business card in Mason's wallet. R. Monroe. Discreet investigations and loyalty verification. I saved the number. I did not do it with shaking hands. I did it with the kind of calm that scares you later, when you realize you were already detaching. The next morning, I called Rochelle from my car. Ms. McNutt, I wasn't expecting to hear from you. Her voice had that amused edge like she could already guess why I was calling. You know who I am. Of course. You are my most boring case ever. No offense. 3 weeks at that gym, and you barely noticed I existed. I need to hire you. There was silence, just long enough to make me inhale. Then she said, to test Mason. No, to follow him. Another pause. Specifically on Thursday nights. His book club nights, I said, and even saying it out loud felt stupid. Rochelle laughed once, sharp. He mentioned them constantly when explaining your schedule to me. Every Thursday, 7 p.m. to 11 a.m. sacred time with his friends. Can you do it? Honey, I can do anything, Rochelle said. But are you sure you want to know? I'm sure. It's $200 an hour, 4-hour minimum. I'll need a retainer. Done. That Thursday, I acted normal. I smiled at the right times, asked about the catering like nothing had shifted, like my chest wasn't holding its breath. Mason got ready for book club. Full grooming, his good cologne, the outfit he always said was casual but somehow looked curated. What book are you guys reading? I asked, keeping my tone light. Oh, it's this mystery thriller, he said. You wouldn't like it. What's it called? He hesitated just a beat too long. I forget the exact title. Something about a girl on a train. I'll text you later. He kissed me goodbye and left at 6:45. At 11:47 p.m., Rochelle called. You sitting down? Yeah. I was not. I was standing in my kitchen, staring at nothing, counting seconds like they could protect me. There's no book club, honey. My stomach dropped, even though I had suspected it. He went to the Marriott downtown, room 412, stayed from 7:15 to 11:20. I have photos of him entering and leaving, and I have photos of who was already in the room when he arrived. She sent them to my phone. Mason entering the hotel, Mason in the elevator, Mason knocking on door 412, the door opening, and there she was, Lena Hart, his lesbian best friend from college, the woman who was supposed to be part of our wedding party, the one Mason always described as safe, loyal, practically family. The last photo was them kissing in the doorway before he went inside. "There's more," Rochelle said. "I did some digging. They've had that room booked every Thursday for 5 months. Always under her name, always the same room. 5 months. We had been engaged for 8. "You okay, honey?" Rochelle asked. And for a second, I hated how gentle she sounded, like she had already seen this movie too many times. "I'm fantastic," I said. And weirdly, I kind of was. That calm that comes when everything suddenly makes sense. Like my body decided shock was easier than grief, at least for the next few minutes. "Want me to keep digging?" "Actually, yes," I said. "Can you find out more about Lena?" "Give me 48 hours," Rochelle replied. "And Susan." "What?" "Brace yourself. People who hide behind labels usually do it for a reason." I stared at the photos again, my screen glowing in the dark, and it hit me that the loyalty test had never been about Mason trusting me. It had been about Mason needing control, and maybe, just maybe, about Mason trying to distract me from the thing he was already doing every Thursday night. I did not cry, not yet. I just listened to the quiet apartment and realized I had been living next to a stranger who knew exactly how to smile while lying. Rochelle called me 2 days later, and this time she did not bother with small talk. "Okay," she said. "So, this is bigger than you thought." I sat on the edge of the bed, phone pressed to my ear, staring at the wall like it might soften what was coming. "Lena Hart is not lesbian." I closed my eyes. "Go on." "She has been using that identity as cover for years," Rochelle continued. "It makes women trust her. It makes partners feel safe. She gets close, becomes the harmless best friend, and then slowly turns it into an affair." I felt something cold settle in my chest. I found 3 other cases, different cities, same pattern, same language, same hotels. I laughed once, sharp and humorless. "Of course she did." "But here's the part you really need to hear," Rochelle said. "Lena is engaged to a man named Trevor Hayes, lives about 2 hours away. He thinks she travels for work every Thursday night." For a long moment, I said nothing. My mind was moving too fast, jumping from image to image, Mason kissing her in that doorway, Mason telling me how relieved he was, that he could finally trust me, Mason sleeping next to me while booking hotel rooms with another woman. "Does he know?" "No," Rochelle said. "Not yet." I thanked her and hung up, then sat there until the room felt too quiet. I had options. I could confront Mason immediately, throw the photos at him, call off the wedding, and let everything explode behind closed doors. I could scream, cry, demand answers, and walk away with my dignity mostly intact. But the thing about betrayal is that once the shock fades, something else creeps in. Clarity. And with clarity came the realization that Mason had already decided how this story was going to go, if I ever found out. He had tested me. He had lied to my face. And if cornered, he would rewrite reality to protect himself. So I decided not to give him that chance. That weekend, I suggested we throw an engagement party. "Something special," I said casually over breakfast. "Before the wedding. One last big celebration with everyone we love." Mason's face lit up instantly. He loved anything that made us look perfect from the outside. "That's an amazing idea," he said. "Invite everyone important to us." I smiled. "Exactly." He jumped into planning like a man with nothing to hide. Made a Facebook event, invited coworkers, extended family, college friends, 150 people. Of course, Lena was on the list. Of course, she RSVP'd yes within minutes, adding a little heart emoji. Over the next 2 weeks, I played my role flawlessly. I helped choose decorations. I discussed playlists. I laughed at Mason's jokes. I let him kiss my forehead and call me his future wife. At night, when he slept, I stared at the ceiling and counted Thursdays. I kept paying Rochelle. Every Thursday, she documented everything: the hotel, the room, the timestamps, the receipts. I built a folder on my phone that felt heavier with every image. Like evidence wasn't just data, it was weight. I also reached out to Trevor. I found him on Instagram, smiling in photos with Lena, captions full of trust and inside jokes I now knew were lies. I sent a careful message, told him I was planning a surprise for Lena at our engagement party and wanted his help. He was confused but excited, touched that her friends wanted to include him. "She'll be so shocked," he wrote. "She always says, 'You all don't really know me.'" That sentence stuck with me longer than it should have. The Thursday before the party, Mason got ready for book club like it was any other week. Same routine, same lies. At 9 p.m., I texted him. "Hope you're enjoying the plot twists." He replied almost immediately. OMG, yes, this book is wild. The main character has no idea her partner is lying to her. I stared at the screen until it blurred. The irony was so thick it almost felt intentional, like the universe had decided subtlety was no longer necessary. Party day arrived faster than I was ready for, our place filled with noise, laughter, glasses clinking, the illusion of happiness hanging in the air like expensive perfume. Mason was in his element, moving through the room as the charming, devoted fiancé. Lena arrived dressed perfectly, sliding into her role effortlessly, hugging Mason, squeezing my hands, telling everyone how excited she was for us. I watched her the way you watch a storm on the horizon, knowing it looks calm until it doesn't. About an hour in, the door opened again, and everything changed. Trevor walked in like he belonged there, tall, smiling, confident, carrying a gift bag and the kind of energy that only comes from thinking you are about to surprise the person you love. "Baby," he shouted, his voice cutting clean through the music. "Surprise." The room shifted instantly. Conversations died mid-sentence. Glasses paused halfway to mouths. Lena turned, and whatever expression she had practiced for this party never made it to her face. Trevor crossed the room in 3 quick steps and kissed her, full on the mouth, the kind of kiss that leaves no room for interpretation. "I'm so happy to finally meet all your work friends," Trevor said brightly, looping an arm around her waist. "Susan told me this party would be special." The silence was deafening. Lena's skin went pale, like all the blood had drained straight out of her. Mason froze beside me, his smile stiff, eyes darting between faces like he was searching for an exit that no longer existed. "Work friends," someone repeated softly. "Yeah," Trevor said, laughing a little. "Lena works in pharmaceutical sales. That's why she's gone every Thursday. Regional meetings." I stepped forward before Mason could speak. My voice surprised even me. Calm, steady, carrying farther than I intended. "Actually, Trevor, Lena has been telling all of us she's lesbian." Trevor laughed, then stopped laughing. His eyes flicked to Lena, then back to me, then back to Lena again. "What?" "She's Mason's best friend from college," I continued. "She was supposed to be part of our wedding party." The color drained from Trevor's face in stages, disbelief giving way to confusion, confusion hardening into something sharper. "Lesbian," he repeated slowly. Lena opened her mouth, but nothing came out. "Gay," Trevor said again, louder now. "We've been together 4 years. We're getting married in 6 months." His voice cracked on the last word. The room was so quiet you could hear people breathing. I took a breath, then pulled my phone from my pocket. "Trevor," I said gently, "Lena isn't at work on Thursdays. She's at the Marriott downtown, room 412. Mason's head snapped toward me. "Susan," he hissed. "With Mason," I finished. I tapped my screen, and a moment later the slideshow paused. The television shifted, and there it was, blown up across a 65-inch screen. Mason and Lena, kissing in the doorway of a hotel room, time-stamped, undeniable. The chaos was immediate. Trevor ripped the engagement ring off his finger and hurled it. It hit Lena square in the eyebrow, a sharp crack followed by blood. Someone gasped. Someone else swore. Lena screamed Mason's name like it might save her. "This is taken out of context," Mason said, his voice too loud, too fast. "Out of context," I repeated calmly. "Your tongue is literally in her mouth." "It's not what it looks like," Lena sobbed, clutching her face. "Oh," I said, "so you weren't at the Marriott every Thursday for the past 5 months. Room 412. Should I show the receipts too?" Mason's father stood abruptly. 5 months, he said. 5 months. My mother walked straight up to Mason's mother. "I want every deposit we put down for this wedding refunded," she said. "Every penny." People started leaving in clusters, whispers filling the room like smoke. In less than 10 minutes, most of the party was gone, leaving behind immediate family, broken glass, and Trevor, standing in the center of it all, shaking. Lena tried to move toward me. "Susan, please, can we talk about this privately?" "No," I said. "You hired someone to test my loyalty while sleeping with my fiancé every Thursday. There is no private version of that." Her mother stared at her like she was seeing a stranger. "Is this true?" Before Lena could answer, a quiet voice cut through the room. "I knew." Everyone turned. Mason's sister stood near the doorway, arms crossed, face tight. "I saw them last month at Starbucks, she said, making out in his car. I told her to stop or I'd tell." Lena spun toward her. "Why would you say that?" "Because you lied," his sister said flatly, "and you didn't stop." Their parents erupted into shouting, accusations flying so fast they blurred together. Trevor sank into a chair, head in his hands. I handed him a bottle of water and called him an Uber. Before he left, he looked at me, eyes red, voice raw. "Thank you," he said. "This is horrible, but thank you." As the door closed behind him, I thought it was over. I was wrong. I found out later that Trevor drove straight back to the apartment he shared with Lena, threw all her things off the balcony, and changed the locks. That part traveled fast, like karma wanted credit, but Lena was not done, and neither was Mason. Within 48 hours, Mason went into full damage control mode, not apology mode, control mode. First, he called my mother, crying about how I violated his privacy and set him up to fail. My mom laughed and hung up. Then he tried my dad, claiming I was manipulative, controlling, that he was scared of me. My dad, the calmest man alive, told him to stop calling or it would be considered harassment. When that did not work, Mason went nuclear. He started telling anyone who would listen that I was abusive and he had sought comfort in Lena. Then he claimed I hired the private investigator first and he only tested me in retaliation. Then he said the photos were edited. Then he said Lena assaulted him and he was the victim. Finally, he told people I had been cheating with Rochelle, the investigator. Some people believed him. Enough that I started getting texts asking if they could hear his side. Enough that it made my stomach drop every time my phone buzzed. Then Mason played his biggest card. He called my work. I am an accountant at a mid-sized firm. Nothing flashy, but I like my job. He told HR that I was harassing him and creating a hostile environment, even though we have never worked together. An investigation was opened. I brought receipts, the texts, the hotel records, the confession about hiring the PI. The case was closed in a day, but the humiliation lingered. That was the moment I stopped playing defense. See, Mason works in real estate. His entire career depends on trust, image, reputation. He posts constantly about integrity, transparency, honesty. So I made a post, nothing dramatic, just facts. For anyone wondering why the wedding is off, I wrote, Mason hired a private investigator to test my loyalty. I passed. Then I hired the same investigator who discovered he has been having an affair every Thursday for 5 months. I have receipts. I wish him well. I tagged no one. I posted no photos, just facts. The comments exploded anyway. Former clients, other agents. One woman wrote, "He sold us our house while sleeping with my sister's fiancé. She thought he was just a friend." Another wrote, "He did the same thing to my cousin." Turns out Lena's pattern was not as exclusive as she thought. Her broker put her on administrative leave pending an ethics review. Then other women started finding each other. They made a group, Survivors of Lena's Best Friend Act. 12 women joined in the first week. Mason called me screaming, "You ruined my life." "No," I said calmly. "You ruined your life. I just stopped keeping it a secret." "I'm going to sue you for defamation." "Please do," I replied. "Discovery would be hilarious." He hung up. He still tried one last angle. He posted that he was polyamorous and I was intolerant. Someone commented that polyamory requires consent and honesty. He deleted the post. Then Lena tried to throw Mason under the bus, claiming he seduced her while she was confused about her identity. The women in the group posted screenshots of her using the same lines on all of them. Her credibility evaporated. The wedding fallout was messy. We lost deposits on everything except the venue. My cousin owned it and refunded me. Mason's parents demanded repayment until I reminded them their son cheated. They backed off. The ring was the worst. Mason refused to return it, claiming it was a gift. I hired a lawyer. He gave it back scratched, smug. Joke's on him, it was insured. 2 weeks ago, I ran into Mason at Target. He was with a new girlfriend, hanging all over her, performing. When he saw me, he kissed her dramatically. "That's my ex," he announced loudly. "The controlling one." She looked at me, then at him. "Wait," she said. "You're the woman with the PI story. My friend sent me that video." He went silent. Last I heard, Mason moved back in with his parents and lost his real estate license due to ethical violations. Lena moved out of state to start over. Trevor is in therapy and doing better. The support group is planning a meetup. Rochelle's business is booked solid for months. She sent me a fruit basket with a note thanking me for the free marketing. As for me, I am good. Therapy helped. I am dating again, slowly, carefully. Trust is earned, not tested. And if you ever feel tempted to hire someone to test your partner, make sure you are not the one who will fail the investigation.